The meeting of the Committee on Justice is hereby called to order. May we ask Congresswoman Isabel Zamora to lead us all in prayer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's put ourselves in the holy presence of our Lord. We thank you, O Lord, for this new day you have given us. We thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us and for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens as public servants. Heavenly Father, we humbly ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support during this meeting, that we can make the best decisions that would benefit and improve the lives of our fellow Filipinos and strengthen the institutions of our nation. We ask all of these in your eternal holy name. Amen.
Amen. We now proceed to the calling of the roll.
Move to dispense with the calling of the roll, Mr.
I
Madam
second
Chair.
the motion. Madam
There's
Chair.
a motion to dispense with the calling of the roll. There be no objection. The roll call is hereby dispensed with. We now proceed to the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of the committee held last May 10, 2023. The Secretariat has distributed copies of the minutes to the members.
Madam Chair, I move to dispense with the reading of the minutes and for the approval of the same.
Second.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. The minutes of the meeting held last May 10, 2023 is hereby approved. Good morning to my esteemed colleagues, members of the committee, and to our invited resource persons and guests. Welcome to the 12th regular meeting of the Committee on Justice and our last meeting before the adjournment, sine die adjournment of the first regular session of the 19th Congress. We have 3 items on our agenda today. First, we have 2 bills proposing to grant hazard pay to public prosecutors under the Department of Justice. And then we have the 2 bills that seek to upgrade the ranks of prosecutors 1 and 2 to prosecutor 3 in order to reflect the standard salary grade of MTC and Sharia court judges, which is currently pegged at salary grade 28. And the third item is the House Bill number 3400, which seeks to penalize the unauthorized practice of law. Since the third item is shorter, we will take that up first. At this point, I would like to ask the COMSEC to acknowledge the members present and our guests.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. On behalf of the Honorable Chairperson, Juliet Marie De Leon Ferrer, the committee acknowledges the presence of the following members present here today in Andaya Hall: the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader Jude Asidre, the Honorable Vice Chairpersons Loreto Acharon, Jonathan Keith Flores, and Isabel Maria Zamora, and the Honorable Representative Marlene Alonte. We also have the Honorable Representative Rachel Arenas. Present with us, joining us via Zoom are the following representatives: Honorable Representatives Irwin Cheng, Dante Garcia, Zal Di Villa, Rufus Rodriguez, Jaime Fresnedi, Francisco Paulo Ortega V. We also have present with us here earlier the Honorable Representative Roy Loyola and the Honorable Jose Gabriel Llenas via Zoom. Also joining us via Zoom are the Honorable Representatives Deputy Majority Leader Wilter Palma and the Honorable Minority Leader Marcelino Libanan. Also present via Zoom is the Honorable Representative John Tracy Tagas. For our guests and resource persons today, we have present with us here the Honorable Court Administrator Raul Villanueva. From the National Prosecution Service, Senior Deputy State Prosecutor Mariza de los Santos Augan. From the Office of the Prosecutor General. From the Chief Prosecutors Association, City Prosecutor Editho Castillo Jr., City Prosecutor Nanilon Tagalikod, City Prosecutor Agripino Baybay III, and City Prosecutor Alex Laveriza. From the Prosecutors League of the Philippines, we have City Prosecutor Maria Teresa Diching and Attorney Anne Grace Lim. From the State Prosecutor and Prosecution Attorneys Association, we have Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Mary Jane Sitat and Assistant State Prosecutor Evie Eunice de Kaiser. From the Department of Budget and Management, Joining us via Zoom are Ms. Justine Buzer and Ms. Jocelyn De La Cruz. And representing the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, joining us also via Zoom is the IBP President, Attorney Bert Estrada. Your Honor.
So now we proceed to the first item. Comsec, can you please read the title of House Bill number 3400?
House Bill number 3400, an act to prohibit and penalize the unauthorized practice of law and other related acts, authored by the Honorable Representatives Jonathan Keith Flores, John Tracy Cagas, and Lordan Suwan.
Maybe hear from the authors.
Madam Chair, may we move that the explanatory note be considered as our sponsorship speech?
Thank you, Kong John. The other authors are present. Comsec.
May we request the Honorable Cagas, John Tracy Cagas, if he wishes to make a sponsorship speech.
So there are no more authors. Can we hear from the resource persons? Court Administrator.
Maraming salamat po. Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson and the honorable members of this committee. Imbag na malam yung amin na po nga pada-pada. We have submitted already, Your Honor, the initial comment of the Office of the Court Administrator regarding the proposed bill to prohibit and penalize the unauthorized practice of law and other related acts. Your Honor, the only thing that perhaps that comes to mind insofar as the practice of law is concerned is, of course, the power and functions given to the Supreme Court insofar as the practice of law is concerned and to promulgate rules insofar as that practice of law is concerned or is involved, Your Honor. So basically that's what we have in mind, Your Honor, at this point in time. Likewise, we feel that if this particular proposed bill is focused or concentrated on lawyers, then it will not in any way involve this rulemaking power of the Supreme Court. But it would appear that there are some provisions that may refer to lawyers, Your Honor, and this is something that we would like to look into further, Your Honor. Also, Your Honor, may I just inform you that insofar as notarial practice is concerned, the Code of Professional Responsibility and Accountability, which was adopted by the Supreme Court last April, Your Honor, and became effective May 29, Your Honor, actually provided a specific provision there that punishes as a serious offense violations of the notarial law by lawyers, Your Honor. So we would just like to, of course, bring this to the attention of the Honorable Committee and, of course, the distinguished authors of the proposed bill for perhaps consideration of that particular matter, Your Honor. And finally, Your Honor, if I may, proceedings against lawyers, Your Honor, is considered as sui generis. So it's neither civil nor criminal, Your Honor. So in other words, if this is a penal sanction that is being proposed, Your Honor, then one way or the other, it might be considered as falling within that particular character of administrative proceedings. But of course, Your Honor, again, this is just our initial thoughts. But again, if this proposed bill will be focused on non-lawyers, Your Honor, then that might one way or the other address some of these concerns of ours. Thank you po.
Thank you. Before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our colleagues, Congresswoman Arnie Roque, Congressman Ruel Gonzaga, Congresswoman Araco, and our new member, Congressman Brian Yamsuan. Yes, Kong John.
Madam Chair, the only provision here that actually touches on lawyers is actually Section 4, and I'm very much willing to delete the entire section should it be to the pleasure of the Supreme Court, Madam Chair.
If we delete Section 4, Court Administrator, would that be acceptable to the Supreme Court?
Your Honor, what I would perhaps say is that we submit, of course, to the wisdom of the members of this committee and of the entire Congress, Your Honor, if they would want to take that out. But it would address, Your Honor, what we have in mind regarding, of course, the possible impact on the rulemaking power of the Supreme Court involving lawyers, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, if we take out section 4, then it will deal with non-lawyers only, because section 4 only touches about notary publics,
Will
and I
that
think
be, will
that should
be
be able to
acceptable?
cure the concerns of the Supreme Court.
Can we hear from the DOJ?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I think we are focused on the amendment to the NPS and the hazard pay.
So there's no representative with regards to the other bill.
We were not asked, Your Honor, for this particular bill.
Oh,
but-
I think there's somebody else from DOJ. Yes, go
Good
ahead.
afternoon, Madam Chair. Attorney Alden Luna po from Department of Justice po. My representation po for this hearing is on House Bill number 3400.
Yes, go ahead and please give us your position.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first, initially, the department recognizes the intent behind the proposed legislative measure insofar as it seeks to institutionalize the measures on an authorized practice of law. However, as of the moment, Madam Chair, the department is still preparing its official position on the House bill, and we will be submitting our official position as soon as possible, Madam Chair.
Yes, Kong John.
Madam Chair, that being the case, I move that we defer the consideration of this bill and await for the opinion of the Department of Justice.
Can you also please note, DOJ, that the author has agreed to remove section 4? That may also affect the position of DOJ.
Madam Chair, Congressman Rufus.
Yes, Kong Rufus.
Madam Chair, it will delay this bill so much if we will wait for the position paper of DOJ. Therefore, I think the bill is clear. These are for non-lawyers who are going to have to commit an authorized practice of law. And my only, I think what we should find out now is whether the penalties are commensurate to this act, because this will be criminal acts. But I believe that we can approve this now, subject to amendments when the submission of the DOJ. We'll have 2 months vacation, Madam Chair, and we want to bring this to the Senate so that the Senate again will not act on this, because the Senate does not always normally does not work hard like the House of Representatives.
Thank you, Kong Rufus. Before we approve it,
That being the case, Madam Chair, from my silingan in Cagayan de Oro, I will support. No? And then I would rather adopt the proposal of, I will be withdrawing my motion, Madam Chair, that we defer it. And we continue with the...
we'd just like to hear from IBP,
go ahead.
before we do anything.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, the representative from IBP.
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, and to the members of this August committee. The Integrated Bar of the Philippines has submitted its position paper on the proposed bill, Madam Chair, and we were supposed to submit a supplemental position paper. However, for the reason of the withdrawal of Section 4, then we might no longer have the need to submit any supplemental position paper. We would just like to thank the committee for hearing this proposed bill, and for our congressman, my congressman from the 2nd District of Bukidnon, Congressman Flores, for sponsoring this bill, which will protect the public from the unauthorized practice of law. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you po. Are there any other members who would like to ask questions or
Madam Chair,
give a comment?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Kong Rufus.
I do not see a raise of hands from those present and on Zoom, meaning our dear colleagues are supporting the bill of Congressman Flores. I therefore move for the approval of the House Bill of Congressman Flores pending on the table now. So moved, Madam Chair.
There's a motion to approve House Bill number 3400.
Second,
Duly
Madam Chair.
seconded, no, there being no objection. House Bill number 3400 is hereby approved subject to form and style. Congratulations, Kong Jan.
Thank you, Madam.
Madam Chair, my congratulations, Madam Chair, to my silingan, Congressman Flores, my silingan from our neighbor in Visayan of neighbor, my neighbor. Always love thy neighbor, Madam Chair. So, congratulations.
Thank you, Kong Rufus.
Madam Chair.
Those who are not needed for the next two items in our agenda, you may leave. Court Administrator, I know you're very busy.
Yes, Your Honor. I have a scheduled flight actually for to Lawag later this afternoon, Your Honor. So if you will allow me, I beg leave, Your Honor, to already leave for my flight po.
Madam
Thank you
Chair.
po. Thank you.
Save
Thank you for the invitation.
Administrator.
Madam Chair,
Kong Rufus.
before the Honorable Administrator leaves, because certainly we are going to grant him to leave early, I would like to ask the Administrator, this is a pending matter for Cagayan de Oro. 9 years since our justice building got burned. We will know now the status because we have the Administrator with us. Is there going to be already construction of new justice buildings for Region 10 Cagayan de Oro?
Your Honor, in response to that, there is a committee dedicated to ensure the construction of that Cagayan de Oro Judiciary Complex, Your Honor, that will house both the three divisions of the Court of Appeals and the regional trial courts and the first level courts in Cagayan de Oro. Likewise, the consultant to prepare the detailed architectural and engineering design had already been engaged, Your Honor. So what remains to be done is for them to come up with the plans that will be approved by the court, and then the construction will already start, Your Honor. We're hoping that this can be done within the next few months, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the committee created by the Supreme Court has been created 9 years ago. And so we are really, judges, all the justices are having difficulty discharging the functions of being the bulwark of our democracy and to have peace and order and to put criminals in jail.
If I may, Your Honor, we completely
And all
recognize
members of the
that,
Committee
Your
on
Honor.
Justice to go.
Yes po, Your Honor. Kaya no less than a justice of the Supreme Court is the head of that particular committee, which was created last year, Your Honor. So that's how serious our Supreme Court is in finally making this to fulfill its commitment to come up with the judiciary complex, Your Honor. We thank Congressman, the Honorable Representative Rufus Rodriguez for always keeping us on our toes on this one, Your Honor. We assure him that we are doing everything, no less than the Chief Justice is very much aware of the situation in Cagayan de Oro, Your Honor.
Thank you, our administrator and Madam Chair. Have a safe travel. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Madam Chair, fault the Honorable Rodriguez for this, but may I also have the opportunity to ask the Court Administrator about is the rehabilitation of the Jensen Hall of Justice part also of the program of the Supreme Court this year?
Your Honor, we just came from General Santos and conferred with the judges there. And of course, with respect to the need to rehabilitate the Hall of Justice, Your Honor, that is included in our program insofar as for this year. At the latest would be early next year, Your Honor.
Thank you, Justice.
Yes,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
May I move that all the members who are present and on Zoom be co-authors with, of course, the permission of our authors, Madam Chair.
Kong John.
May I think about it, Madam Chair? No. Of course, there's no objection, Madam Chair.
There's a motion to include all the members present as co-authors. There be no objection. The motion is hereby approved. Any more from our members? No more. So yes, Kong Ju.
I move that we approve the accompanying committee report.
So there's a motion to approve the committee report.
Second, Madam Chair.
There be no objection. The motion is hereby approved. Congratulations again, Kong John.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So, Court Administrator, safe travels po. Sige. So now we proceed with the next item on our agenda, the hazard pay for public prosecutors. Subcomsec, can you please read the title of the bills?
Madam Chair,
Kong Rufus.
may I request the other bill which is not authored by his representation be taken ahead. I'm just really at the gate now. I might be a little late. I'm now at the gate of the Batasan. I'm entering already, but I do not want to delay. Is there another bill that is not authored by this representation?
Your Honor, there is a House Bill number 8364 filed by the Honorable Representative Rufus Rodriguez that was referred to us last night, May 30, 2023, which involves the amending of Section 15 and 16 of RA 1007.
So does that mean, Madam Chair,
It was
that all the bills pending now are all my bills?
are all.
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry, Kong Rufus.
all the bills pending now are my bills?
No, Kong Rufus. It was just referred to the committee last night. So the House bills in our agenda referred to the hazard pay for public prosecutors and the salary grade of public prosecutors. Kong Rufus.
Yes, I'm already now at the lobby, and so I'm getting up. Can you just give us 5 minutes, Madam Chair?
Safe travels, Kong Rufus.
No, I'm here already. I'm here already in the Batasan. Thank you. I'm going up. Thank you.
Comsec, can you please read the title of the House bills pertaining to the hazard pay for public prosecutors?
Yes, Your Honor. House Bill number 1835, an act granting hazard pay to all public prosecutors in the Philippines during their incumbency and appropriating funds therefore, filed by the Honorable Representative Roel Peter Gonzaga. House Bill number 7775, an act granting hazard pay to public prosecutors exposed to hazardous situations and performing hazardous duties related to assigned cases and appropriating funds therefore, filed by the Honorable Speaker Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, Majority Leader Manix Dalipe, Senior Deputy Majority Floor Leader Ferdinand Alexander Marcos, Committee on Accounts Chairperson Yeda Marie Romualdez, and the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader Jude Asidre.
Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Senior Vice Chairperson, Margarita Nograles. So now we'd like to hear from Congressman Gonzaga.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like that my explanatory note be treated as my sponsorship speech, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Gonzaga. Kong Jude will sponsor House Bill number 777.
Honorable Chair, distinguished colleagues, resource persons, good afternoon. It is my honor to sponsor, also on behalf of the other authors, the Honorable Speaker Martin Romualdez, the Honorable Majority Leader Manix Dalipe, the Honorable Senior Deputy Majority Leader Sandro Marcos, the Honorable Yeda Romualdez, House Bill number 7775, an act granting hazard pay to public prosecutors exposed to hazardous situations and performing hazardous duties related to assigned cases and appropriating funds therefore. Public prosecutors are among the unsung heroes of our justice system, working tirelessly to uphold the rule of law and protect the rights of our fellow citizens. They play a crucial role in ensuring that those who transgress our laws are held accountable for their actions. However, despite their important work, public prosecutors often face numerous hazards in the course of their duties. They are frequently exposed to physical and emotional threats from accused persons, their families, and even from their own witnesses. They also work long hours, often with little rest or time off, and are often required to travel to remote and dangerous locations to gather evidence or conduct investigations. It is therefore fitting and just that we recognize the sacrifices and hard work of public prosecutors by granting them hazard pay. This will not only provide them with much needed financial support, but also serve as a tangible expression of our appreciation for their dedication to upholding justice in our country. This bill seeks to amend existing laws to provide hazard pay for public prosecutors in recognition of the recent challenges they face in their workplace. Specifically, it proposes to provide a hazard pay equivalent to 20% of the basic salary of public prosecutors to be granted on a monthly basis while in the performance of several hazardous duties such as in the conduct of inquest, preliminary investigation, and prosecuting cases enumerated in the proposed measure. In conclusion, Madam Chair, dear colleagues, I urge all of you to support this bill and recognize the important role that public prosecutors play in our justice system. By this simple act of granting them hazard pay, we can show our appreciation for their hard work and ensure that they are able to continue serving our country with dedication and commitment. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Kong Jude. Before we continue, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Congresswoman Ruth Mariano Hernandez on Zoom and here with us. I thought, Kong Rufus, you were still getting on your flight. And then Congressman Jill Bongalon and Congressman Saldi Villa. So now, although the bill of Congressman Rufus Rodriguez was only referred to us last night, but because it is Kong Rufus, we will take up his bill. And I'd like to give the floor to Kong Rufus for the sponsorship speech.
Yeah, my thanks always to the most outstanding chairman of all the committees here in the House of Representatives. We have to congratulate the chairman because Chairperson Juliet Ferrer had already the Bureau of Immigration bill approved on third reading yesterday. Palakpakan natin. And that is an 83-year-old law. My goodness, I was in immigration for 3 years and certainly very outmoded, the kind of visas, the powers of the commissioner. So thank you. We give that to our chair, that during her term and her chairmanship of the Justice Committee, it will become law. So therefore, the immigration will be the wall that will stop human traffickers, criminals, but it should be the wind to make them go fast to our borders and our airports. Thank you again, Madam Chair. So now, with your kind permission, may I proceed for my sponsorship speech. Yes, on record, Mr. Chairman, since 2016, 8 reported murders of prosecutors have happened. I'd like to read this on the record. This will show the urgency of our hazard pay bill. City Prosecutor Rolando Acido, October 26, 2016. Prosecutor Johan Noel Mingoa, January 11, 2017. Prosecutor Diosdado Asarcot, May 22, 2017. Assistant Prosecutor Maria Ronatay, not only the prosecutors but the assistants. Assistant Prosecutor also hit July 18, 2017. Assistant Prosecutor Raymond Luna, September 29, 2017. Assistant Prosecutor Rogelio Velasco, May 11, 2018. Prosecutor Mary Ann Castro, Lady Prosecutor, January 17, 2019. Chief Inquest Prosecutor Jovencio Senados, just July 7, 2020. Then there have also been at least 2 others who were physically attacked, but fortunately survived, Madam Chair. Prosecutor Manuel Tisiorna and Prosecutor Josephone Olivar. This highlights the dangers that our prosecutors face in the discharge of their vital role in dispensing justice. This is the core of public officials who are bringing criminals to justice, and certainly when you want to bring criminals to justice, there could be unforeseen reprisals, and what has happened here. So therefore, Madam Chair, there is always there can never be a price that would ever be commensurate to their lives. Of course not. Additional compensation or hazard pay will be a good expression of support of the House of Representatives and later the Senate and the President who will sign the law to recognize the vital role of prosecutors in our society and in the dispensation of our justice system. Therefore, the government's already providing hazard pay of at least 25% of the monthly basic salary already to various government personnel. And how much more for prosecutors whose work really entails occupational risk or perils to life. And that is why it's very important that today, after discussions, we're going to approve this and send this to the Senate. So that the Senate, if they're so minded, because the Senate is not always moving on our bills, they will also see the importance, as we see them, of the prosecutors. Let me just state, that is why I am really for prosecutors all the way. My father was the provincial prosecutor of Misamis Oriental for more than 15 years. My studies at De La Salle were financed from the salary of my father. I get them in the DOJ Farifara to pay for my tuition and my fees in De La Salle University. And then I went to UP. Again, it was DOJ, which made sure that I have my allowance in UP College of Law, and I finished that. So that's how I owe so much to the prosecution. And then I'm also the principal author of your National Prosecution Law. And we are trying to amend that already to improve even more the salaries, the status, the grades of our prosecutors. And that is why Rufus Rodriguez is here, going through fast traffic at EDSA, running at the South Lounge to be in Andaya to make sure that we're able to help and to really express our support to our dear prosecutors. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kong Rufus. It is an honor to listen to Kong Rufus every time. When I was in law school, I would just read his books, and now he's a colleague. So it is an honor.
For my students has become better than the teacher and the author of books.
Thank you, Kong Rufus. So now we'd like to hear from the NAPROS.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and to the honorable members of the House, especially to Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. In behalf of the Office of the Prosecutor General and the National Prosecution Service, I would like to share our grateful appreciation of your support of our department, of our National Prosecution Service, with these bills that you have sponsors for for the benefit of our prosecutors, as well as in the possible amendment of our basic law, the RA 171. We are here. With me is the President and representative of the Prosecutors League of the Philippines, as well as the CIPROSA and the State Prosecution Association, who are all ready to answer any of your questions.
We'd like to hear first. Are you done? Are you done?
Yes.
So
sure.
we'd like to hear from the Chief Prosecutors Association.
Madam Chair, good afternoon, and all other members of this honorable committee. I am City Prosecutor Castillo of Borongan. I'm the president of the Chief Prosecutors Association. We joined the State Prosecutors Association in pursuing the passage of the hazard pay law. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Prosecutors League of the Philippines.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, a fellow Negrense from Negros Occidental, our beloved Congresswoman from the south portion of Negros. Good afternoon also for the honorable committee members, especially upon hearing Representative Rufus Rodriguez and the Honorable Jude Asidre. We cannot help but be very touched of the sentiments given to the prosecutors. I'm sorry. Yes, very emotional because it has been long that the prosecution service is actually trying to lobby for the hazard pay, because long before this committee meeting, I think there has been many incidents of killing. And it started with, of course, with all due respect to Congressman Rufus, he mentioned on the 8th, but actually, based on our list, we also wrote, it has already rise up to 17, in particularly the recent ones in 2020. And also, there has been cases of ambush, and the prosecutors actually survived, but one I think was already physically disabled permanently. Okay, so that's why there has been no recognition actually of the work of the prosecutors for a long period of time. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but yes, I cannot help, but be very enchanted with what Representative Rufus Rodriguez actually said a while ago, that ours has been the left out members of the government service that has been exposed to great risk and hazardous situations. And especially now that we have DC-20, where just issued recently by our Honorable Secretary of Justice, Remulla, and actually it requires us to conduct case build-up together with the law enforcement. So practically, the circular would require us to be more exposed to higher risks, considering that we have to work with the law enforcement, and considering the fact that we are not trained, we have no arms to defend ourselves. So maybe this hazard pay, if approved, would somehow give us the recognition insofar as the value of the prosecution service in combating criminality. So that's why we appeal, and we really are in full gratitude with the sponsors of these bills providing hazard pay to the prosecutors, because not only that our insurance are getting higher now because of our great risk and exposure, the more that we need this amount in order just to cover for this insurance. And aside from that, aside from our basic salary, we don't have, unlike the judges of the Supreme Court, we do not have these other allowances, only the basic salary. And hazard pay would really be, will actually be a very great advantage, and it would really benefit a lot for all prosecutors concerned, concerning that they also offer their lives for the service of our country. I think that would be all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next, the State Prosecutors and Prosecution Attorneys Association.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and to all the members of the committee. Thank you again, first of all, to everyone who supported the bills that are discussed today. For the State Prosecutors Association, we'd just like to comment on the bill proposed by Congressman Asidre. We'd like to propose that in the crimes assigned for inquest, preliminary investigation, and prosecution, we'd like to include environmental crimes if possible, because environmental crimes is considered as one of the transnational crimes already. So just that only point.
Thank you. We will ask the author if they will consider.
We accept, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Kong Jude. So now we will hear from DBM. DBM on Zoom.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, good afternoon. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Go ahead, DBM.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry for those narinig natin kanina about the incidents about the prosecutor na involved, no, sa mga ganitong klaseng incident. But as mandated for DBM to provide inputs and especially those provision na may fiscal implication, we have to provide comments on the grant of hazard pay. First of all, Madam, we would like to emphasize that hazard pay is being granted to personnel who are working under hazardous condition or in extreme physical discomfort or distress. Hence, it is given only to employees performing hazardous duties or for work involving physical hardship. At present po, only the following groups of personnel are granted hazard pay. First of all, the military and uniformed personnel, they are given 540 per month hazard pay. Public health workers and science and technology worker. For public health worker, the hazard pay is based on their salary 5% to 25% of the salary of public health worker. While for S&T, 10% or 30% of their salaries. May we further highlight that in the case of public health worker and S&T workers, the rate of hazard pay is limited only to the days when the said personnel are exposed to the hazard or hardship.
DBM, let me cut you short. We're not
Yes.
talking about the hazard pay of health personnel or health officials. So I don't think that's this is a proper forum for that.
Yes, ma'am. But
Talking about the hazard pay for public prosecutors.
Yes, ma'am. But we are building our rationale for this our comment for
Madam
this
Chair.
particular bill.
Madam Chair, if I may just
Vice Chair.
if I may just ask, Madam Chair, if DBM's position is that of the percentage of the hazard pay, or that hazard pay should not be included by the definition of that she gave for the prosecutors.
DBM.
Our point kasi, ma'am, the hazard, if given to prosecutor, it will be a precedent for other members of the executive branch to clamor for the same. And another one is the fiscal implication of the grant of hazard pay. We computed the hazard pay based on the salary of 2,762 prosecutor. Based on the 25% salary, will require 1.1 billion, and for 20% will require 903 million pesos. Yun lang po ang isa sa mga consideration natin because of the fiscal implication. And of course, baka ito maging precedent for other members
Yes,
to clamor for the same.
Vice Chair.
So
Nograles.
just clarify, is DBM against giving hazard pay as a whole for the prosecutors, Madam Chair? Because she's talking about computation, so we just want to know if DBM is totally against hazard pay or just the percentage.
DBM.
We are constrained from recommending the grant of hazard pay to prosecutor because nga of the reason given.
Well, first of all, even if the clamor of other sectors is not material at this point, it is still up to the wisdom of Congress whether to grant hazard pay to any other sector if a bill is filed. So since we already have your position, I think we can already proceed. I mean, we don't have to prolong it.
Madam
Anyway,
Chair,
we have the written position paper of DBM. Yes, Congressman.
I have few
Gonzaga.
questions to the DBM.
Yes,
Madam Chair.
go ahead po.
Madam DBM, you mentioned earlier about the health workers and you were cut short with the committee chair. We'd
Yes.
like to know what are other sectors, member sectors, receiving hazards because of the risk, because of the risk set forth by their work.
Based on records, sir, those who are granted Magna Carta benefits are granted
Is for the
hazard
record,
pay. These are public health workers and SNT worker, science and
Judges?
technology worker.
what about
And-
judges?
Sir, wala. Wala silang hazard pay.
We just approved that, Congressman.
Yeah, we approve, but they were asked to give position with regard to hazards to judges. Madam DBM,
The judges, ganun din po ang position namin on the hazard pay. For the judges.
you mentioned about the Magna Carta for health workers as well as you have mentioned earlier.
Science and technology worker.
Yeah, I would like to know whether or not the prosecutors, judges, the health workers, are they not similarly situated, Madam Chair?
DBM.
Sir, kasi yung sa public health worker, they're exposed to the
Yeah.
hazardous. Oo.
My question is, you have your position and your position is tantamount to rejecting this bill. Now, the base of this bill is similar to the others. My question is whether or not those receiving hazard pay because of the risk of the work compared vis-a-vis with the fiscals, prosecutors, are they not similarly situated? Because if they are similarly situated, what would be the reason on rejecting with regard to the hazard pay for the prosecutor? Is not the Constitution provides that if you are similarly situated, you will receive the same benefits? Madam Chair.
DBM.
The exposure of TAPROS to the incident of killing is not every day. The exposure to hazardous is not every day. Unlike those sa medical
Chair.
field.
Madam
Yes,
Chair.
Kong Jude.
Madam Chair, in the enumeration of the sectors that are guaranteed hazard pay under our present structure, the first is the police and military. And taking the example of the police, they're involved in criminal justice. And I think, would DBM agree, Madam Chair, that the work of the prosecutors are corollary to the work of the police personnel, especially when they conduct investigations for case build-up?
DBM.
Siguro ma'am, kasi ma'am yung police kasi nasa labas yung work nila eh. They're in the field. Yes.
Madam Chair, I would like
Yes,
few questions.
Yes, Kong Gonzaga.
Madam Chair, is the representative of the DBM expressing the sentiment of the DBM as a whole, or it is just the opinion of the representative now, Madam Chair?
DBM.
Ma'am, actually, this is only a position of our bureau, the one handling compensation and organization. However, we will provide the committee of the DBM position on the matter, ma'am. Kasi ma'am, wala pang consolidated position paper on DBM. But we will submit. This is only an initial evaluation of our bureau.
Last two questions, Madam Chair.
Gonzaga.
Madam DBM, nag-o-object ka ba or the Bureau is objecting because of the pecuniary estimation? Or are you objecting because you do not want the prosecutors to receive hazard pay?
Personally, I'm not opposing, but I'm just stating what supposed to be the usual the usual thing that we do when we evaluate a proposal like this. So, yun lang, Madam Chair.
So the 903 million, you computed that there are 2,762 prosecutors, and you computed based on the salary,
Yes.
the total budget for the prosecution department is 1.1 billion. And
For
times 12, am I right, Madam Chair? Madam DBM?
For 2,762 prosecutor, the annual requirement, if you will base it on the 25% of their salary, is 1.1 billion.
And we multiply that by 20%, and that is the hazard pay for the prosecutors, 903 million. Am I right?
Yes, if the proposal is for 20%.
I would like to ask you, 903 million, please compute what is the percentage vis-a-vis the total budget of the Republic of the Philippines. Does it constitute 10%, 1%? Madam Chair, Madam DBM? And my last question is, do you not consider that prosecution department is an arm, really a vital arm for the wheel of justice to grind? Madam Chair, Madam DBM.
DBM.
Yes, we recognize that, Madam Chair. However, the prosecutor, if given the hazard pay, will serve as a precedent which could trigger similar requests for the grant of hazard pay for those group as they are equally involved in the dispensation of justice, like other legal personnel in the government or attorney position in the government.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair
I would just like to ask DBM what is their definition of hazard pay?
As I mentioned a while ago, hazard pay is being granted to personnel who are working under hazardous condition or extreme physical discomfort or distress. Hence, it is given only to employees performing hazardous duty or work involving physical hardship.
Madam Chair, with that definition, what is a hazardous condition?
DBM. DBM, please reply.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, with regards to the military in uniform, there are outside the office and encountered operations, are performing operations like that.
Is
For
it
the
for the prosecutors to do work outside their office, Madam Chair?
DBM.
If she can't answer, ito na lang po, Madam Chair. Ano po ba ang situation put in emotional distress by her definition, by DBM's definition as well? Madam Chair.
DBM.
Wala kami definition, madam, on that emotional distress.
Baka kaya po, Madam Chair, hindi naiintindihan na nalalagay po in emotional distress ang ating mga prosecutors. Kaya hindi na po consider ng DBM po, Madam Chair.
DBM.
Probably, ma'am, because nga yung admin definition is medyo specific siya na physical ang ano niya, physical discomfort and condition, hazardous conditions.
Iba po ang physical sa emotional, but that's all that I have to ask, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Naglas. Vice Chair John.
Madam Chair, I think the list of names read to by our Representative Rufus Rodriguez would clearly show that the work that they do is already hazardous because of the number of deaths that the prosecutors have suffered in the past few years, that as enumerated wisely by Representative Rufus. So I don't know why it cannot be considered a hazardous job when in truth and in fact people are being killed because of the job that they do.
Yes, John, prosecutors have to deal with criminals on a daily basis. So if that's not hazardous, I don't know what is.
Lastly, Madam Chair, I was also the principal author or sponsor of the survivorship bill for the national prosecution, and I'm being married to one, no? So I know exactly what you guys go through. And I'm not just saying that it's hazardous to myself, but the job that they do is actually exposure to the elements, Madam Chair, and being involved in the criminal prosecution, Madam Chair.
Are there any other? Yes, Kong.
Madam Chairman, may I just ask the authors if the bill will not include also our public attorneys, which office is under the auspices of the DOJ?
Yes, Kong Rufus. Chair.
It does not. There's a big difference between prosecution and being defenders of those accused. In other words, they are not very much into threats or the threat to life, because they're in fact defending them, and so therefore there's a difference, and that's why we will give hazard pay to those who are prosecuting them to make sure they're in jail. So these other people are always, the accused are very well, served by the PAO, so the PAO was no threat at all.
But Congressman Rufus, I remember, I think it was just last year or the other year, that a member of the PAO in Bohol was assassinated because of the performance of his function. So mine is just a bit, if we could a bit expand the coverage and include our public attorneys who are anyway exposed to the same hazards of the exercise or the pursuit of the profession.
Maybe Kong Acharon, you can file the bill a separate bill.
I am not doing this because the head of the public attorney's office is my classmate in the law school, but because I really pity also our public attorneys, because they are the same, they're exposed to the same hazards.
Thank you, Kong Ton. Any other members who would like to say something? Yes, Kong Jill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I just would like to be clarified of this duly appointed public prosecutors, because as we all know, there are prosecution attorneys that are also working in the prosecution office. So may we know from the authors, Madam Chair, if they are also included, because there is a distinction between a prosecutor appointed by the Office of the President and the prosecution attorneys that are appointed by the Department of Justice Secretary.
Kong Rufus.
They're also better, our resource persons will be able to better explain the difference, if any, and if they have no objection to having also the prosecuting attorneys. We will hear from the President.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you again for that question. Representative, this will clarify actually the positions in our department. The prosecuting attorney is actually appointed by the Secretary of Justice. However, they are also they are prosecutors performing similar functions as Julie, the ACP, the Assistant City Prosecutors, and the high-ranking prosecutors. So we practically do the same job, and they are also exposed to the same hazards because every day they have to go out. We do not confine ourselves within our offices because we have to conduct inquests and we need to go out and check and at the same time go with the law enforcers to investigate. So that is also the same function assigned to the prosecuting attorneys. So we do not interpose any objection to include them.
How many now are now prosecuting attorneys appointed by the secretary? And is the appointment coterminous, or it is
No,
an appointment that goes on until a valid cause?
No.
Yes.
Your Honors, if I may, prosecution attorneys, although they are appointed by the President, the only distinction is that under the law, the Secretary of Justice. So the only difference is that a state prosecutor, before they could be appointed as such, should have been a lawyer for 5 years. So for prosecution attorney, they can be appointed by the Secretary of Justice if they have not reached the practice of law for 5 years. However, their functions are similar as with full-fledged state prosecutors. Sometimes nga po, mas madami sa kanila kasi sila yung most junior in a law office setup. They're the most junior prosecutors. So we interpose no objection to include prosecution attorneys as public
The question of Kong Rufus, if they're coterminous?
No, they are not coterminous. So the appointment on the first year is temporary, and then the Secretary of Justice can reappoint them on the following year.
It's the scheme to have prosecuting attorneys because of the 5-year requirement to become state prosecutors. So you're hiring even fresh graduates, correct? Who can already help. Yeah. So we can accommodate prosecuting attorneys in my bill, Mr. Chairman. How about the others?
I just would like to emphasize that the concern of Congressman Bungalon is very significant because I was once also a prosecution attorney during my first year as a law practitioner.
A prosecuting attorney. Res ipsa loquitur. You see, so we should have more prosecuting attorneys, and they should also receive hazard pay.
Any other members who would like to say something? What is the pleasure of the body?
There are some differences to the bill of Congressman Isidre and our bill with Congressman Roel. Ours is a general giving to prosecutors. Probably the implementing rules will be by the Secretary of Justice. In the case of House Bill 7775, there are enumerations. And I'd like to hear from the resource person the enumeration of hazard pay. It says public prosecutor hazard pay to 20%. Ours is 25% with Congressman Roel. And here is the enumeration of following hazardous duties: A, B, C, D, and E. So what would our resource persons signify? Will we have this kind of enumeration, or we have a general bill like what we have with Congressman Roel Gonzaga?
Can we hear from our resource person?
Yes, I think we do not have any problem with either the bill of the one that was made earlier by Honorable Isidre and that of the Honorable Representative Rufus Rodriguez, because actually and Gonzaga, that of Gonzaga, because actually the enumerations only highlighted the incidents or the instances where the public prosecutors will actually be exposed to dangerous situations. Like for example, in Dangerous Drugs Act under RA 9165, they are even in fact called to act as an insulating witness, which requires them to go on the field upon the arrest. So we even are required to be there at the site already during the bypass operation. And with respect to other cases like trafficking and anti-money laundering, we are actually encountering criminals here who are not just petty criminals, but those powerful syndicates. So these are just incidents or cases involving prosecutors to really face head on. And it does not actually matter whether we adopt the no enumeration of these crimes, because all crimes are covered. It will be also acceptable.
Madam Chair, the way I see this, it will not cover all crimes.
Yes.
It's for example, are crimes involving national security and the law of nations,
Yes.
fundamental public order and so forth. And then the second one is about the drugs.
Trafficking.
The third one is about
190.
transnational crimes,
Yes.
illicit traffic and so forth. And then those assigned in a certain situation, you are, for example, in some provinces that really have a problem, strife-torn or in battle areas.
Yes.
And then the next one will be those convicted. Will this not, with this enumeration, not disenfranchise other prosecutors into not receiving hazard pay? Because we might see a situation where others, if they are not included and they give and they render services as public prosecutor or prosecuting attorneys, they might not fall on this. So I don't know really, but you're the more experts on this. So do you want the enumeration or you want just a general statement?
So we actually submit to your wisdom.
What do you want? What
Yes.
you'd like to have?
But I think it would be better if it would be couched in general terms so that it will cover everything. So there will be no exceptions
to the
unless
authors.
Yes.
Kong Gonzaga, will that be acceptable to the authors?
It is, Madam Chair, I am acceptable to adopt the version of Congressman Acedre as well as of the speaker. My only question is, well, what the bill includes, it excludes.
Excludes. Yes.
So kung sabi ni Kong Rufus kanina, kung hindi ka na isali sa A, B, C, D, and E, therefore you are not included in your bill. At any rate, parang covered naman lahat .
Kong Jude, are you willing to just make it general so that it won't exclude?
Madam Chair, the reason for the enumeration actually is so that we can establish as what we had with the DBM, the peculiarities of what a hazard would constitute. In fact, the effort, if you notice, the first set is crimes under the penal code, second are crimes under the special laws, so on and so forth. They're basically practically cover, safe to say, 90% of the time. But we, of course, submit to the wisdom of Congressman Rufus, ang intention na talaga for enumerating it so that in the application of the law, hindi naman siya as presented by DBM sets a precedent for other positions to also other positions in government also seek hazard pay just because of walang context yung hazard. Just to provide
But
context.
maybe we can deal with that problem later on if it comes to that.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
maybe
Vice Chair.
to address that, like other similar laws that we have, so we can enumerate, we can also probably add in other similar circumstances. So it could be an enumeration and then put in other similar circumstances for other things that we would not know, but at least we know it's in line with that line of thinking.
That will be as determined by the Secretary of Justice. So in other words, what we have now is that under the principle of exclusion,
Inclusion.
Hindi pwede. But if you go to Iudem Generis, as similar, put here letter F, it would be better. So we put here comma, colon, instead of period the section, and we put a letter F. And those assigned to cases similarly situated as determined by the Secretary of Justice.
Is
That will make sure na
the author?
medyo
Yes,
malahat
Madam
na.
Chair.
Kasi kawawa naman yung iba na.
Please note. And then there's the question of the percentage.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, 25% for Kong Rufus and Kong Gonzaga, and for the bill by Kong Acedre and Speaker, it's 20%. So maybe we can agree on the figure. and then we can approve this already.
How much was given to the judiciary, sir? Workers is
20. What's the pleasure of the authors?
we can have a start of the budget of the bill of the speaker and Congressman Jude is that 20% will be we will not be very much DBM will not be very much against this LSFI. I don't blame the DBM. It is their duty to oppose all these laws. Yeah, yes. I am tired already of debating and questioning them because they always will do that. But that is their duty. That is their mandate to make sure na fiscal restraint and so forth. But always it is in the wisdom of the Congress through the Committee on Justice to all committees to be able to approve. We see as a policy that there is really the need for prosecutors. That's a matter of policy that we in the committee sees and will insist upon. So with that, Madam Chair, that is what we have agreed. 20%.
Authors?
20%.
Kong Gonzaga? Percentage?
Of course, I will follow my teacher.
Since the authors have agreed on the disagreeing provisions, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve a consolidated bill, considering all of the comments made
There's a
earlier.
motion to approve the consolidated bill subject to Form 7.
Second, Madam Chair.
There being no
Madam Chair.
objection and duly seconded, the House bills are hereby
Madam
approved.
Chair, I move that all those present physically and via Zoom, should they wish to be considered as co-author
With
to
the
this.
permission of
We
the
accept,
authors,
Madam Chair.
Second, Madam Chair.
Kong Gonzaga.
And I move that we already approve the committee report on this. This should be
There's
sent
a
to the
motion
Senate.
to include all the
The
members
committee reports that we can
present.
send it to the to the floor next time.
And a motion to approve the committee report.
Yes.
Second, Madam Chair.
There being no objection, duly seconded. The motions are hereby approved. Congratulations to the authors and to the prosecutors.
Thank you very much.
Chair, you're always our champion.
Kong Rufus, I couldn't have done it without my members. All of
Give
you
effort.
guys.
We now have our prosecutors here, and we have the city prosecutor there. So we believe in your work. We support you, and we'll make sure that this will be approved in the House. You go to the Senate to convince them. Thank you.
Kong. So now we'll
Thank you
proceed
very
to the third item. Comsec, can you please read the House bills?
For the next item, House Bill number 117, an act amending sections 15 and 16 of Republic Act 10071, otherwise known as the National Prosecution Service Act of 2010, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, authored by the Honorable Representative Roy Loyola. And House Bill number 1767, an act amending sections 15 and 16 of Republic Act 10071, otherwise known as the National Prosecution Service Act of 2010, appropriating funds therefore and for other purposes, filed by the Honorable Representative Marilyn Len Alonte.
Thank you, Comsec. We'd like to hear from Congressman Roy Loyola for House Bill number 117.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, dear colleagues, esteemed guests from our national government agency, and to those who are present today. I would like to thank this esteemed committee chaired by Honorable Juliet Marie Ferrer for hearing House Bill number 117. This proposed measure is a refile bill authored by former Speaker Lord Ala J. Velasco during the 18th Congress. It seeks to amend Section 15 and 16 of Republic Act number 10071 or the National Prosecution Service Act of 2010 by removing the distinction between prosecutors of the National Capital Region and outside of the National Capital Region because of the same nature of work, and by reconciling and harmonizing the intent of the law and the subsequent Supreme Court issuance under Administrative Matter number 17-09-07-S to cure the resulting distortion in ranking salaries as a consequence of rationalization. On June 26, 2018, the Supreme Court pass and bank resolution administrative matter number 17-09-07-SC, wherein all judges of the municipal trial courts, municipal circuit trial courts, and Sharia circuit trial courts and municipal trial courts in cities were upgraded to salary grade 28. Thus, applying Section 16 of Republic Act number 10071, which state that any upgrading of the grades or level thereof of any or all of the justices or judges shall apply to the corresponding prosecutors. The prosecutor with salary grade 26 or 27 should have been likewise upgraded to salary grade 28. However, doing so will cause a distortion issue, since the concerned prosecutors will now have the same qualification, ranks, and category as those who are presently higher ranked prosecutor. Thus, there's a need to amend our existing laws to correct and to update the same, as well as to acknowledge the efforts of our entire National Prosecution Service of the impact of the responsibility as they work ceaselessly in their courts and offices. Our national prosecutorial system as an institution is tasked with ensuring the proper dispensation of justice in the name of the state to curb criminality and facilitate peace and order under the auspices of the Department of Justice. The role in ensuring that the scale of justice are properly balanced as every bit is as essential as those of our esteemed judiciary. It is but fair and proper that they accorded the same privileges and the same treatment as those of our storied judges and justices of the Court of Appeals. With that, I seek the support and the immediate approval by this committee of this proposed measure. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Loyola. Now we'd like to hear from Congresswoman Len Alonte on House Bill number 1767.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the rest of this Honorable Committee on Justice for giving us this opportunity to hear our bills regarding the amendment of the National Prosecution Service Act. But since my honorable neighbor, Congressman Roy Loyola, the representative of the 5th District of Cavite, meticulously delivered his sponsorship speech, which I guess I couldn't add more to that speech to sponsor our bills. May I just respectfully request, Madam Chair, that my explanatory note will be adopted as my sponsorship speech, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Congresswoman Len Alonte. Now we'd like to hear from NAPROS.
Again, good afternoon, Madam Chair. And again, we are expressing our gratitude to the sponsors of this bill, Honorable Marlene Alonte and Honorable Roy Loyola. This is actually the work mostly of our colleague in the prosecution service. We would just like to turn over, and the Office of the Prosecutor General and the National Prosecution Service is very supportive and hoping that this will be passed and approved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We already have prepared here a position paper to be submitted to the Secretariat. And basically, as what's stated by the Honorable Congressman Loyola and Ma'am Alonte, we are just seeking here an amendment of two things. First is the removal of the distinction in ranks between prosecutors outside Metro Manila and prosecutors within Metro Manila. And secondly is to upgrade also the these ranks of prosecutors 1 and 2 have been left behind with the upgrading of salary grades of first level courts by the Supreme Court. That's all, ma'am.
Thank you. Prosecutors League of the Philippines.
insofar as the Prosecutors League of the Philippines, we also have a similar position.
Thank you. State Prosecutors and Prosecution Attorneys Association.
Yes, again, good afternoon, and thank you again for being very supportive. Actually, I'm in a very tight position because while we support the bill proposed by the Honorable Congressman Loyola and Alonte, as well as the CIPROSA and the PLP, the bill greatly affects the state prosecutors. I am here to just parrot the concerns of the state prosecutors. First, it will create the proposal, while it will not affect the field offices, it greatly affects the state prosecutors as it will create salary distortion between the deputy state prosecutors, senior state prosecutors, assistant state prosecutors, and the prosecution attorneys. And by deleting the distinction between the prosecutors outside Metro Manila and elsewhere, and upgrading them to salary grade 28, does that mean that prosecutors 1 and 2 are effectively abolished? Because the salary for prosecution attorneys in the department, they are salary grade 25, and for assistant state prosecutors, they are salary grade 27. Senior assistant state prosecutors are salary grade 28. So if we follow the rationale behind the upgrade, then there will be no distinction as well between and among the prosecution attorneys, the assistant state prosecutors, and the senior state prosecutors. Since we don't want to be contravened in their proposal, we would also like to make our own proposal, if the committee will agree, to just retain the proposal made by the good congressman, but to just include provisions specifically for state prosecutors, because as state prosecutors, and as enumerated in the hazard pay, we handle high-profile cases of national interest and security. So just to have a middle ground, it is just our proposal to just include specific provisions for state prosecutors.
Can we hear from the authors, please?
Kong Roy, do we agree? On my side, I would agree that I would agree that we can make a separate condition or amendment regarding the senior or regarding the state prosecutors. Kong Roy.
Kong Loyola.
Madam Chair, before I filed this bill, I consulted the Association of Chief Prosecutor, and there was a deliberation as to what position to be given, or the salary grade to be given to the senior deputy prosecutor. So I will stick to my original bill.
Any other comments from our members? Kong Rufus.
Madam Chair, I am the principal author of the Prosecution Act of 2010, the second term. And precisely, we were able to elevate, before this law, Republic Act 1071, really very low salary grades, and it was not clear. But at this point, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair, I agree that there should be the increases. I think that they do not object to the increase, of course, because our salaries are tied under the law to Republic Act 10071, sections 15 and 16, that prosecutors' salary grades, salaries, allowances should be the same as those of the corresponding justices. It's in the law. So we are duty bound to approve the proposal of Congresswoman Len Alonte and my compadre Roy Loyola, my compadre Mbo, to approve the increase. Now, we have an issue now on how to treat state prosecutors and our prosecutors in the different parts of our country. And now I would see, Madam Chair, that we have to equalize now. While the state prosecutors are running high-profile cases, our city prosecutors are also handling murder cases and big drug cases. It's all over the country now. The high-profile cases. We have murders, like in the city of Cagayan de Oro. The doctor was murdered near my residence, and then it's nothing. It's a very complicated case and high-profile. Drugs also, and so forth. So I think we ask the indulgence of our representatives to be able to see that let us just equalize in terms of having as presented by Congressman Loyola, so that also as those who are in the provinces will not also say that they are the poorer cousins of those in Imperial Manila. And I say Imperial Manila with some grain of, because we are from Mindanao and we are quite far. But of course, Manila is where the central office is, and that's okay. And it should be here. But the point is that we should try to equalize. And that's why I support the bills of the two congressman, congresswoman, na i-ano na natin. Anyway, we will make sure that all of them will work, especially those in the provinces and cities. Thank you.
So we heard from the father of the National Prosecution Service law. Any other comments? Yes, Congressman Gonzaga.
The bill seeks for a one grade salary. Say for example, if the prosecutor is receiving 28 grade salary 28, ganun ba yun?
Kong Loyola.
Actually, there is no more salary grade 26 and 27. The starting
28 na lang.
is 28. Entry level position is salary grade 28 because the judges of the MTC were upgraded to salary grade 28 by virtue of the administrative matter or the issuance by the Supreme Court.
I will bring you to page 3, paragraph 8. Provincial prosecutors and city prosecutors with salary grades of SG 29, deputy provincial prosecutors and deputy city prosecutors with salary grades of SG 28 at the time of the approval of this act shall be automatically upgraded one rank higher and shall have the corresponding position titles as provided herein. So those who have SG 28 after the approval of this bill and it will become a law, there will be an automatic upgrade one rank higher. Is it correct, Madam Chair?
Kong Loyola.
Chair, may I know from Congressman what page?
Page 3.
Page 3.
Page 3, paragraph 8, 7, 9, 10, 11, and 12.
Yes, they're automatic. Yeah.
I have no, Madam Chair, Congressman Sponsor, Sir Loyola, I have no question. In fact, I will support your bill. My only concern is the DBM. Nagagalit nga sila kanina, ngayon may upgrade. may upgrade na naman. Tatanungin niyo si DBM ngayon. There will be a variance of her computation with regard to
Kong
Well,
Gonzaga.
Madam Chair, as expected,
Yes, so we already
But,
position of DBM.
my idol, as stated.
But this time it is by law, because our Prosecution Act of 2010 really ties the salaries of prosecutors to those of the corresponding justices and judges. And since Supreme Court Resolution 2018, just 5 years ago, already increased the salaries of the first level, the MTCCs, to 28 already. That is why, Congressman Lowell, it will now all those receiving grades of 26 and 27 will become 28. But because madidistort na, aabuti na yung deputy prosecutors na 28 lang, at saka yung mga provincial prosecutors sa 29, mag-increase na sila to prevent a wage distortion. That is in the bill. So therefore, those of having 28 will now be 29. And then the 29 become 30. That is it. So everybody
Yes,
will be happy.
Sige po. Yes po.
We are really very happy with that. But again, there could be a problem because there are city prosecutors and the prosecutor general actually is salary grade 30 already. So mag-31 na kami if it's the one following that principle. So pag 31 na, si SOJ. Si SOJ na kami.
I think we have room to really make sure that you
we will work on the steps.
yeah, you work on the steps, but certainly yung mga 30 Secretary of Justice ba 31?
31
na. So
yes.
yung 30 ngayon, yan ang problema, may Secretary. Steps na lang tayo.
May I be recognized, Madam
Yes,
Chair?
go ahead.
Yes, that's not the meat of our bill. Only those salary grade 29 city and provincial prosecutors will be upgraded to salary grade 30. Those who are already enjoying salary grade 30 will not be upgraded to further 31. Thank you, Madam.
Talaga po. Fight tayo. But anyway, yes, that's correct. It will be, according to the bill, provincial prosecutors pala, city prosecutors, so 30. So, we are not distorting the state prosecutors because 30 na kayo. Yung mga 30 na.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, we do not object to that, but if for clarification, may we just request that since senior state prosecutors are salary grade 28, may we just be included in the upgrade if there will be an upgrade to salary grade 29.
I think
You're referring to Madam Chair, who are those that are 29 who wants to become 30?
In the proposed bill, Your Honors, the deputy provincial prosecutors, deputy city prosecutors with salary grades of 28 shall be automatically upgraded one rank higher. So they will become salary grade 29.
Correct.
But in the state prosecutors rankings, the salary grade 28 refers to senior state prosecutors, and the deputy state prosecutors are salary grade 29. So if the prosecutors with salary grades 26 and 27 will be upgraded to 28, then that would be equivalent to the senior state prosecutors of the DOJ.
Kong Loyola.
Madam Chair, the senior assistant state prosecutor, the senior assistant regional prosecutor, the senior assistant provincial prosecutors, the senior assistant city prosecutor, assistant state prosecutor, assistant regional prosecutor, as well as assistant provincial prosecutor, assistant city prosecutor, associate provincial prosecutor, associate city prosecutor, prosecutor shall be given salary grade 28 as prosecutor 3. What was upgraded to salary grade 29 are the deputy state prosecutor, deputy regional prosecutors, deputy provincial prosecutors, and the deputy city prosecutors. Madam Chair.
Is that clear now? Yes, go ahead.
May I be allowed?
Yes.
I think this could give clarification because under our NPS law, actually the disparity between those city prosecutors and provincial prosecutors receiving salary grade, let us say for example, of salary grade 30, as distinguished from those city prosecutors and provincial prosecutors receiving salary grade 29, is because of the requirement on the plantilla. Like for example, there are cities like Bacolod City would have a plantilla of more or less 32 to 34 prosecutors, but and that would actually justify them to have a salary grade 30, whereas other offices of some jurisdiction who only have, for example, 3 or 2 prosecutors under them, they will have salary grade 29. So the distinction actually was based on the number of prosecutors under that city prosecutor. So that spells out why there are those who are salary grade 30 and there are also those salary grade 29. So those with salary grade 30 city prosecutors with 32 plus or 25 prosecutors actually will have a deputy, which deputy prosecutor was already salary grade 29. So that is 1 degree higher than those city or provincial prosecutors with lesser number of prosecutors. So I think that was the distinction made under the 2010 NPS law.
Under this bill, Madam Chair, the distinction between provincial or city prosecutor with more than 25 prosecutors already removed, because we believe that the nature of work of the city prosecutor in the National Capital Region is the same with the nature of work of those assigned in the provinces. Actually, mas maganda trabaho ng mga city prosecutor in the National Capital Region because they have more assistants and deputy prosecutor. Unlike in the provinces, the number of assistants is very limited. That's the reason why we remove this qualification. Madam Chair.
Ako na. I think what they wanted, what they're proposing is we add state prosecutors here on section 1, page 3, line 8. To add the state prosecutors. So it says provincial prosecutors and city prosecutors. So what they're proposing is that the state prosecutors be included to this list or enumeration.
May I be recognized,
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Please identify.
I am Fiscal Noni Tagalico, the City Prosecutor of Lipa City. I think our colleague here is mistaken with the fact of San Juan City in Manila has the same number of courts as those in Lipa City. And yet the city prosecutor in San Juan is salary grade 30 while I am salary grade 29. The distinction lies on the point that we are situated outside Metro Manila. Not about the numbers, it's about our location. Second point, that bill actually will not necessarily affect their positions because they are located in Metro Manila. What we seek here, the spirit of the bill here, is for an equalization, an equal treatment between prosecutors situated in Metro Manila and to those situated outside Metro Manila. So for them who are occupying the senior assistant state prosecutor, they will not be affected. They will not be affected because if they will be getting the 29 salary grade, then it's equivalent to deputy. And then the deputy would be asking for a 30. And the 30 would be asking for 31. So definitely, because we are just asking here, the prosecutors outside NCR, that we be allowed to be treated equally with them who are situated in Metro Manila. That's the spirit of the House bill here.
May I to add, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead. Please identify.
Magandang hapon po, Your Honor. I am City Prosecutor Agripino Baybay III of Binyan City. The idea of upgrading the salary grade to 29 to 30 and 28 to 29 is to prevent distortion as a consequence of the upgrading of the assistants, because the assistants now, as it is, are 26 and 27. So if we raise them to 28, aabutan po nila yung mga deputy. So deputy, angat natin ng 29. Ang 29 naman na hepe, angat natin ng 30. That is the reason for the upgrading of the salary grade 28 and 29 or 29 to 30, but that does not include the other prosecutors who are not chiefs of office or deputies. That only applies to the deputies and the chiefs of office, Your Honor. As a matter of fact, if we allow the upgrading of those who are not deputies and chiefs of office, that will again lead us to another distortion, because the regional prosecutors have the salary grade of salary grade 30 and the deputies have salary grades of 29. So if we raise that salary grade 29 deputy, the deputy regional prosecutor will be equal. That what I'm saying here, Your Honor, is that the purpose of upgrading the salary grades from 29 to 30, 28 to 29, just to cure the apparent resulting distortion if we raise the salary grades of the assistant prosecutors. And that does not include those prosecutors with salary grade 29s but who are not deputies or chiefs of office. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, I think that's already clear. The principal reason why there's a division is because they're seated right there, away from the. There's already a natural divide. I don't know why you have to sit there. So kita natin kagad may conflict na. Dapat walang conflict ang DOJ. Can you move over? I'm just saying. Thank you. So I think it is now clear, Madam Chair, that I think it's okay. Because i-distort, kung ang state prosecutor sa akat ng 30 lahat, madi-distort na. We're talking of chief of offices, tama yung case, fiscal deputies and assistants. So I think, Madam Chair, we have sufficiently discussed this. And
Kong Gonzaga, you have something to say?
Clarificatory question. For the chief prosecution, Attorney Tagalikod, Attorney Baybay, Attorney Castillo, I'll bring you to page 3, paragraph 14. Do you have a copy of the bill? Page 3, paragraph 14. I will read. All prosecutors with salary grades of 26 and 27 at the time of the approval of this act shall be deemed upgraded to salary grade 28 and shall likewise have the corresponding position titles as provided therein. Tanong ko lang po, ano pong diferensya ng prosecutor na may salary grade 26 and salary grade 27?
Yes, Your Honor. In the NCR, the entry level of prosecutors is salary grade 27. But in the provinces, especially those with prosecutors less than 25, the entry level is so-called as associate prosecutor,
26,
who has salary grade 26. So that's the difference, basically, Your Honor.
This will cure the difference.
Yes, Your Honor.
Between the prosecutor in the NCR
and the provinces, just like in the case of the municipal trial courts, Your Honor. Before the Supreme Court removed the distinction, there are MTCs which have salary grades 26, 27, and 28. Yes, Your Honor. So that's the similarity and the difference between the two.
So it is very clear now. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
May we remind our source persons to wait to be recognized before they answer the congressman. Prosecutor from Binyan. Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Also to answer Congressman Gonzaga, for state prosecutors, we do not have salary grade 26. We only have salary grade 25 and 27. And the next one is 28 already. So if we follow the logic, then we don't have prosecutors 1 and 2 anymore. There's no distinction between senior state, assistant state, and prosecution attorney. However, by law, they are not treated as full-fledged state prosecutors, the prosecution attorneys. So I think the law is the hindrance here. But as far as the DOJ is concerned, we don't have salary grade 26. So let's just
the bill that we want that is being amended here is RA 10071, which was authored by Kong Rufus. And since Kong Rufus has no objection to the amendments proposed by Congressman Loyola and Alonte, then maybe we should consider that, because he was the author of the original bill that we want to amend.
We are refining the bill to have this better version presented by our two distinguished congresswoman. So I think it's been clarified very much. I really also see the situation of our city and provincial prosecutors outside of Manila, the central office, and I believe that we should already, Madam Chair, move to approve the bills of Congressman Liu.
Kong Rufus, we'll just hear from DBM, although we know the answer there.
I will not even question her anymore.
But that is
Let her have
very-
her
we
peace.
just have to go through.
We will not have her
the
peace.
motions.
Peace.
DBM.
Yes, Madam.
Yes. Can you make it short since you already submitted? Can you please submit your position paper, and can you just give us a short version of your position paper?
Yes, Madam. We will submit our position paper, but allow me to state some observation. Since technically the position of prosecutor will be reduced from 5 to 3, since existing prosecutor 1 SG26 and SG27 will be upgraded to prosecutor 3 SG28. While we recognize the invaluable role of the prosecutor in the judicial system, we wish to highlight that reducing the existing number of position level will effectively eliminate the hierarchy relationship between the senior assistant and the associate regional, provincial, and city prosecutor. Currently, may we state lang po na when we crafted salary grade, we consider differences in position level based on the level of responsibility performed within the job description of the position, the authority exercised by the position, as well as the length of time the employee has performed the job. This is specifically provided under Section 2 of RA 11466, or the Salary Standardization Law, which states that the state shall ensure the difference in pay shall be based upon substantive differences in duties, responsibilities, accountabilities, and qualification requirement of the position, among others po. Yun lang po, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, DBM. Let me hear from the authors. Kong Rufus.
Well, I have to remind also the DBM that the increase of salary grades are provided for by law. We're not crafting a new law here. We're just following our section 15 and 16. That is to juxtapose the salaries of our prosecutors to the judges. And since the Supreme Court has already increased them to 28%, 28%, so we just have to follow the law which we approved in 2010. So DBM, there's a law supporting the bills of the two ladies, the two congresswoman, lady and the gentleman. Thank you. With that, Mr. Chair.
There's a pending motion from Congressman Rufus, and we are very fortunate that the author of the original bill, the author of the original law, is here with us.
Miss Matandana, dito.
So there's a pending motion from Kong Rufus.
Approve.
I second, Madam Chair.
There being
Motion
no
is to
objection, duly
approve
seconded.
the two bills as consolidated and subject to style and some amendments. So move, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I move that all.
I'll approve first.
Sorry, approve, sorry.
The motion of Kong Rufus is approved. And yes, Vice Chair Nograles.
I move, Madam Chair, that all those present be considered as co-authors to the consolidated.
With the permission of the authors.
We agree. We
Actually
agree.
accepted, Madam Chair.
There- There being no
Proposal.
objection,
Yeah, all of us will become co-authors who are
the
present.
motion is approved. So, yes, yes.
Your
yes,
honors,
po.
may we just submit our position papers?
Yes,
before-
go ahead.
So we just
You have it
submitted.
now or?
We have to consult the state prosecutors
okay.
and other prosecutors. Thank you.
Yeah, subject also to their submission.
Yes.
Because I know there was a duty to do. They represent state prosecutors. We understand. Yeah, so with that, so I move that we approve the committee report on these bills
There's a
of
motion
Congressman
to
Loyola,
approve the committee
Salon,
report.
so that the
There
director na
being no
sa plenary.
objection, duly seconded, a motion is approved.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there any other matters? Other
Madam
matters, please?
I would like to express our gratitude to the chairman, to the chairperson, and to the father of the National Prosecution Service for the fast-track approval of this bill. And to the members of this committee.
Congratulations.
Salamat po, Madam Chair, and to the
Hindi na po
honorable
ako-
body.
Any other matters?
Hindi na ako ulitin, madam.
There being no other matters?
Madam Chair, there being no other matters, I move to adjourn.
I second the motion.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you
Second.
very much.